I feel like that's why it's so hard for people to believe that when you talk about the GOAT conversation, for instance, right, that
Yeah.
you're talking about it in that sense. And I think it's hard for people to believe it at all. It's like, I actually think that people don't think you know that everyone has an asterisk next
Yeah.
to your championships.
Yeah. And I almost say that stuff to
Now, when it comes to Kevin Durant, the same people that have that asterisk for his championships in 2017 and 2018, they have to have the same energy for the championships LeBron has in 2012 and 2013 down in Miami. There's no way, pound for pound, you could convince anyone that the talents of Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh is not better than having the wingman talents of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. There's just no way. You could even add Andre Iguodala to that mix. Those three versus those two alone, it's not even close. Dwayne Wade is top 3 shooting guards of all time. Like, LeBron has played with some major talent throughout his career.
challenge people's thinking on why do you even have a GOAT list for one? And what does it actually mean in the grand scheme of things?
It's right that
Yeah.
you're talking about it in that sense. And I think it's hard for people to believe it at all. It's like, I actually think that people don't think you know that everyone has an asterisk next
Yeah.
to your championships.
And we also have to put into proper context that the Warriors really drafted all their guys. And their only real acquisitions to the team was Kevin Durant and Andre Iguodala. So it's not like they went out and purchased a super team. They really drafted most of their key players. Got one guy, I believe through trade or through free agency. I believe it was a trade. Developed their second round pick in Draymond Green and went after Kevin Durant. That is a very different thing than some of the super teams we've seen formulated today, where you have multiple star players who are transplanted.
Don't think you know that everyone has an asterisk next
Yeah.
to your championships.
Yeah. And I almost say that stuff to challenge people's thinking on why do you even have a GOAT list for one? And what does it actually mean in the grand scheme of things? And to also highlight that it's such a subjective thing that I can ask 20 people that you may not ever know or talk to who they go, and they may say me. They may say Tracy McGrady or Paul George, but
And also the nuances of the game. What are the rules? The league, every 10 years, they change the rules. I'm not saying necessarily the fundamentals of the game, but they do add certain nuances. You know, the kind of play calling, not allowing the defenders to touch guys a certain way centers have to elevate in the paint. Offensive players today can actually push off with their off arm. The hooking that we've seen James Harden effectively utilize in the mid 2010s. Every decade has its nuances. So you really can't compare.
what does it matter? Like, at the end of the day, what truly matters in this thing? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, yeah, I've heard people come up to me and passionately tell me I'm the greatest they ever seen. And I feel like I've accomplished things on the court and been in situations that the greatest have seen. So I feel like I can have a conversation about basketball with a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. Not about bragging about how much we've done, but like, what did you see out there? And did I see the same things? I feel like I can have those conversations with the greatest that ever played. And they would feel comfortable knowing that I understand where they're coming from and their perspective on the game of basketball, because I'm well-traveled and I'm truly a student of the game, on top of me experiencing the same things they did. So when I say this GOAT thing, it's more so like, can I have a real basketball conversations with some of the best that's ever played basketball or walk those sidelines?
KD speaking facts right here. A lot of that GOAT conversation is really circle talk. It slowly has become the same way the political theater today plays out. It's just endless banter, back and forth, and guys picking sides. And you see this play out no further than a lot of the major sports media outlets of today. They got analysts completely taking sides with players to the point where they're supposed to be reporting what's going on in the league. But instead, they're really reporting things no different than Fox News would or CNN would. Just like those networks are aligned to certain parties, you see some analysts aligned to certain players.
I believe so.
Do you care about the asterisk shit, honestly? Do you care when you hear people say it?
No, I not as much as I care about the storytelling around the game. Don't dilute the storytelling around the game because of your personal opinions and emotions, and let's just present the facts around the game, because that's what's going to push the game forward.
And correct. And the fact is, in 2019, before KD had went down with that Achilles, he definitely was the best player in the league. Make no mistake about it, as he was playing offense and defense. And the reason why I say that is because LeBron James on the defensive end, remember that ticker that a lot of sports segments, especially on ESPN, used to do on LeBron walking on defense. He was stat padding like a motherfucker his last few years in Cleveland.
Continue to tell the history the right way. If we revised history based on how you personally feel, now you're getting in the way of the story. And what makes you bigger than our story when you're not even playing? That's how I look at it. And so the asterisks don't bother me more so than people that's just saying it for the simple fact that you're upset.
Correct. And a lot of the mainstream media members are upset that Kevin Durant had blocked their guy LeBron James from capturing multiple championships when he had returned to Cleveland. Things were set up that way, especially after that Game 7 in 2016. Nobody wants to say it, but the Warriors were not going to beat the Cavs. That's why they flew out way out in Long Island at the edge of it to talk to Kevin Durant to get him to come to the Warriors. They understood that. That Cavs team was not an undermanned team as the narrative would like you to believe. When they had went up against a 73-win Warriors team in that 2016 finals, Las Vegas had the Cavs as the favorites. That team was fucking stacked. Why it went to Game 7, that didn't make any fucking sense.
You're emotional. It's just like, I know what I did. Obviously, this in the record books, it's black and white. It's stamped to me.
Let's have a real high-level conversation about basketball sometimes. Don't just bucket Kevin as one of the best scorers in the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And then the GOAT conversation. But you can then acknowledge, like, for that conversation, they're going to leave me out unless I do X, Y, and Z. But in this conversation where hoopers know and people that want to talk about basketball.
Now for Kevin Durant, he is going to have to prove himself and win a championship on his own. Not all championships are created equal. Kobe Bryant winning that championship over the Boston Celtics in 2010, he solidified his legacy. LeBron James' 2016 championship in Cleveland solidified his legacy. For Kevin Durant, him going out on his own, especially after Stephen Curry solidified his legacy with that championship in 2022, Durant now is going to have to follow suit because the narrative will always be they won one without you. You see, before the Warriors had not won a championship without KD, at least Durant had that to fall back on. They can't say I'm not a champion because the Warriors have never done nothing without me. Even though they did win a championship in 2015, but a lot of us understand the context behind that. The Cavs were pretty much injury riddled, and there was not as much respect put on that 2015 championship. Like I said, not all championships are created equal. So now, after Stephen Curry's 2022 championship, the pressure is now on KD.
It's a sport, I'll be in any conversation.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with that?
And I don't mind jumping in that conversation of people who say I need to prove something to them to do X, Y, and Z, because I know my history, I know what I've done, so I can have those conversations too. And then I could just talk basketball with people who don't look at stuff like that. All I knew was storytelling around the NBA as a kid. I wasn't watching every game. I didn't have the NBA package. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? It was one TV in the house and there's 5 or 6 of us. I couldn't turn on what I wanted to turn on as the youngest. And so when they listen and hear about what's going on with the game, I feel like it has, in order for that kid to truly get the best experience of what it's like, the truth has to be told. And what I'm saying is bigger than just me. It's just the overall fact of what's going on in the NBA and the storytelling around the NBA. It should be.
Yeah, the storytelling is very fucked up. Once again, it's similar to the political landscape, in which now sports reporting, you have to take sides, which is something that has never existed before. But as far as Kevin Durant, if you tell the story, he's gonna have to win a championship on his own. because Steph definitely applied that pressure after his beautiful, masterful performance in the 2022 NBA Finals. He's another one that had to solidify himself by getting a championship on his own. He beat that Boston Celtics team with Andrew Wiggins as his second best player. Magnificent performance by Curry.
Based on facts more so than whoever's writing this personal bias opinion.
Yeah. Well, sadly, there's space for both. Most networks, lean towards one version of it, and pound for pound, the people that are talking about it really do know the game. A lot of them know the game. But, we know what sells. And I think what's unfortunate is that, let's look at your body of work.
That's not.
Yeah, what sells, going back to the media talk, what sells for a lot of media members is that they're all following that Trump formula. I'm going to pick a side, you pick a side, and we got a debate. That Trump formula has trickled down into sports.
Even look at the accolades that are accumulated. Just look at the seasons of the numbers.
We're going to get to that.
You know what I'm saying? And how long are those seasons and those numbers, how consistent those numbers are. That to me is a career. And no matter how many accolades you accumulate, I have high level of respect for Stephon Marbury. And he has no accolades or no real stake in any of these conversations. But you look at the 9 or 10 seasons that he played. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but that's the thing. So then when you talk about the GOAT conversation, right?
Come on, KD. Come on, KD. Stephon Marbury don't have the same type of talent level as you. The expectations are completely different. If you want a seat at the GOAT table, there's certain requirements. And I understand some of it is definitely nuanced, but there are tables sectioned off just outside of that GOAT table in which you see players like John Stockton are sitting at, Allen Iverson is sitting at, Chris Paul is going to be sitting at one of those tables. They are different tables, make no mistake about it. But that GOAT table, it's only a selective few. And there's certain requirements in order to sit at that table. And speaking of someone that's sitting on one of the sides table, you could throw in Charles Barkley in there. There's actually more people sitting just outside the GOAT table than there's actually room for more people to come and join that GOAT table. There's so many players sitting just outside of that. That's how much rarefied air is in that section.
And no matter how many accolades you accumulate, I have high level of respect for Stephon Marbury. And he has no accolades or no real stake in any of these conversations. But you look at the 9 or 10 seasons that he played. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but that's the thing. So then when you talk about the GOAT conversation, right? And I'm not here advocating for you to be in it or not be in it. I'm saying that.
And me either.
Right. No, I know you're not.
I'm just questioning just the whole conversation itself.
I hear you because what I was saying is if you do 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, an MVP, 4 scoring titles, 3 Olympic gold medals, all-time Olympic scorer, then you talk about 17 years in the league, 16 years playing because you missed an entire year for what? The craziest injury ever, which is never spoken about. I could say this.
Yeah.
All those accolades Rich Kleiman just listed, it sounds like a bona fide Hall of Famer. But once again, that GOAT conversation, it's rarefied air, man. It's fucking rare. It's like the 0.00001% of the 1%ers are in that conversation. But it's definitely nuanced.
Can we spend a little time on the fact that you are 10th all-time in scoring, you missed 2 full seasons. You're 4th all-time or 3rd all-time in scoring average. You've played 16 years in the NBA. Like you said, one of those seasons you only played 27 games, and every year you're averaging 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, shooting over 50%. That conversation, whether you want to put it in the GOAT, you want to put it in the best hooper ever, that conversation is important. It's important for...
That conversation he's describing right there is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the GOAT conversation is completely different. There's certain criteria that never, ever change.
To have out there, and it's one of the things I wanted to get across in this interview, because when I was hearing you talk about it the other day, everyone went right to your decision, like, cool, take the decision.
Yeah, but also see this.
Just see this.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to accomplish more? Are you at all motivated by this, by the story, the narrative?
The only thing KD's missing is winning one without Curry. Just win one on your own. Because had Curry had not won that championship in 2022, the narrative would still be, They couldn't really win one without KD. At least he had that to fall back on. Now he does not have that. So the only scenario now is to solidify yourself by getting one on your own without the Golden State Warriors.
I wouldn't say I'm motivated by the narrative. Like, I hear it and I understand it, but I've never been motivated by that.
You know who was motivated by the narrative? Curry was. Once Durant left, we seen Curry bulked up. He got stronger. He actually was leading his team while guys were going through injuries in the 2021 season, even though it didn't lead to any playoff success or any finals appearance. But Curry led his team throughout that whole season, remaining healthy, looking stronger. And he built himself up to carry that team the following season all the way to the finals to win the championship. And finally getting his own NBA Finals MVP. You know that shit mattered to Curry.
It's always been about, can I perfect the craft tonight? Can I be at my best tonight? And that's always the challenge more so than anything. And once I started to understand that, like, this was my goal all along, was to build my craft to the best that I can get it and fitting that into a team, instead of like, I just want to win championships and have these accolades for myself. That's when the game started to become more fun to me. And that's what I lean on more than anything. So once the game...
Come on, KD, really, man? If that was the case, you would have stayed in OKC. Come on, man, let's not cap.
Is once I don't enjoy that part of it, then that's probably when I think about when it's time for me. But I enjoy so much of, like, even the calls. I'm like, man, fuck, I hated this fucking game tonight. This is a shitty game by us. I enjoy knowing that, all right, I can go back the next game and avenge our loss. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy that part of the grind. So, you know, it's just, for me, like, the narratives are, I hear them and I listen to them and it inspires me and fuels me, but it's not the reason I play. You know what I'm saying? It's just something I can't avoid.
And I would say there's been times where the people closest to you are like, bro, shoot more. Like,
Yeah.
I think if anything, you know, I see the scoring in the league right now and it's insane, right? And I mean, the talent level's off the charts, but I feel like there's games you could have went for 50 or 60 and you've just chosen to commit to playing the way you like to play, game in and game out, no matter what.
Yep, especially in Golden State. There were times where KD already had 30 points, shooting well over 55%, and they just sat him down. They were blowing teams out. KD is the perfect glove. You could really fit him on any team. Just the ultimate weapon. He plays in any system. He doesn't have to have the ball nonstop. He can catch and shoot. He can score in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, it's times where I would have had high number of points in the first quarter and they could easily turn into a big night. But I was trying to do what it takes to win the basketball game. And if it takes for me to go have to score big and shoot a lot of shots, then I'll have to do it. But sometimes when I had those high scoring games, now, by the time I get back into the game, now we got to play more of a team game, and I might not be able to get those big numbers. And I had to be cool with that early on, knowing that, all right, I play with great players that can do the same things too. So sometimes it may not be all about me.
See right there, KD's talking about being the ultimate glove right there. That's why he is the perfect superstar. The perfect fucking superstar. You could fit him on any team.
And that's the beauty of playing on great teams and going to the Warriors and playing for the Nets and playing for the Suns, and you play around great players and different perspectives around the game. You understand it's bigger than you.
Damn, was that a shot at Westbrook? He didn't mention OKC. He didn't mention OKC. We know Westbrook loves to play that your turn, my turn shit.
And I learned that over time. And I think that's a part of the growth of being more than just a scorer.